Why, hello. How are y'all doing? I'm doing alright. Just chilling with my homies over here and over here. I'm sorry, is that cultural appropriation? Using the word homies, even though it's English, which is my language, because I'm an English descended American. Sorry for using my language. That's cultural appropriation. Um, now I have to apologize. I have to go on TV and publicly apologize to the people I appropriated the culture from, even though those people are using my language that they appropriated because, whatever. This whole political correctness thing, I'm just going to throw it right out the window. I don't really care. Like, it's retarded and it's holding society back in a major way. So I would encourage all of you out there to be as deliberately inappropriate and unapologetic about it as you possibly can, uh, by being completely non-politically correct. In fact, if something is politically correct and you feel pressure to conform to it because of the correctness police, uh, why not try doing the opposite? Even just do it as a joke. Like, you know, if you're not supposed to, I mean, this is kind of in many ways, this is kind of a Boston thing. I don't know about the rest of the world. I think you all need to catch on to what we've been doing in Boston for my entire life. Yes, the rest of the world, not just America. This is a problem. I spent a lot of time in Canada. I spent a lot of time in Europe. Um, it's a problem, and of course, it's a problem in the United States. So I want to, I want you all, for the sake of trying something different, shall we say, to try it in a humorous manner. Let's make a joke out of it, right? Let's make a joke out of political correctness because that's really what it is. Let's just be as deliberately non PC as we possibly can, uh, as a form of social commentary and satire as we possibly can be. Um, we're not trying to hurt anybody's feelings or make anybody upset, but we're trying to make a joke, a social commentary, shall we say, on the fact that political correctness is indeed a, a problem that is holding us back as a species, not just as a society. Like for instance, next time you go to the Chinese restaurant, just as a joke, make some kind of humorous commentary or comment about any of the Asian people that you see there, just to see if they can take a joke. You don't have to mean it. You don't have to actually be racist. Um, just try it as a joke. See what happens. If you have any friends who are of a different skin color than you. Say, I'm assuming that probably the majority of people watching my videos are white Americans. Um, if you have any African American friends, maybe make a joke about it once in a while, about something pertaining to the color of their skin. No, I'm not saying actually be a racist because, you know, we all know that actual racism um, is stupid. You know, actual, real, live racism is just it's retarded. And people who participate in actual racism in the 21st century, I think, really aren't getting the lessons that are to be learned from history. Um, but I think if we go overboard about everything to the point of like politically correct policing speech and uh, other things, I think that it's really actually detrimental. So what I'm advocating is just a form of humor here, not actual, you know, racism. I I despise racism in its true form, um, but I also despise when people are accused of things like racism when it's not really happening a lot of the time. It's just something else, ulterior motive, other agendas. So rather than we go from one extreme to the other to back and forth with that whole nonsense, make a joke out of everything. See what happens. I guarantee you it will have positive results most of the time. And I've seen that happen uh, in the culture that I grew up in, which is Boston, Massachusetts, which is very diverse. There's a lot of different kinds of people uh, in and around the city of Boston, and uh, it's not considered inappropriate to make a joke out of something for the sake of humor. We aren't all the same. We aren't all, you know, and we don't have to pretend that we are and that everybody's identical, that we're all made out of the same mold. We're all not made from the same mold. We're all made from different parts of the, whatever you want to call it, the tapestry of humanity, the mosaic, if you will. So rather than pretending that we're all the same, which is dysfunctional and very uncomfortable for anybody, um, and rather than going back to actual racism, which I'm sure existed at some point, perhaps. Actual racism, I'm sure, has existed and occurred. Uh, but rather than making everything out to be about race, make a joke out of it because really, that's what it is. Like call your, if you have any Irish friends, Irish American, like myself, I'm part, I'm a lot Irish. Make a joke about it, like, you know, reference something like the Lucky Charms or something, or how we're all a bunch of drunks who just want to fight with each other or fight with everybody else. and we're all like, religious fanatics or Catholics, fa- fanatical religious nuts, which I'm sure has some basis in historical fact, but it. I mean, you guys know that, for instance, I'm not Catholic. I hardly drink alcohol at all. I've been totally stone cold so most of the like 99.99% of the last 20 years of my life, which is half my life almost. I've been completely sober. Um, and for like a couple of years, I wasn't. Before that, I was completely sober most of the time as well. So I never really drank a lot in my life. Um, I don't want to fight with people. Just not. I don't really conform to the stereotypes of Irish anything. So you can make a joke out of it if you want. As far as I'm concerned, I don't really care. It's fine. It's funny to me, like Lucky Charms. That's funny. Can you imagine though if, say, like I don't know, we had some other groups that had products like Lucky Charms or whatever, uh, dedicated to satirizing their culture or their heritage. Can you imagine what would happen? Why do people get so offended about these things? You need to look at the humor in it and appreciate that it's supposed to be fun. It's not meant to denigrate anybody or make anybody feel bad or it's funny. Like I think Lucky Charms, for instance, is hysterical. And I would be sad if they took those off the shelves. Actually, I would if Lucky Charms cereal weren't being made anymore because some Irish American made a racist complaint. That would be sad because I like to think that people are smarter than that, and I think that for the most part that's the case. Um, so make a joke out of it, you guys. Make a joke out of these things. It's a good way to break the ice, I think. And if people are looking to really be peaceable with others, they're going to see the humor in making a joke out of something, even if it's a deliberately inappropriate form of humor. So I would just like to encourage a social experiment here and see what happens. Maybe it'll blow up in your face. Maybe it will actually turn out to be something positive. In my experience, it's been positive, deliberately inappropriate, politically incorrect humor. And this is coming from someone who grew up in a very, like, grew up in a city with all kinds of people, like people from all kinds of backgrounds, all kinds of religious belief, national origins, ethnicities, whatever you want to call these things, sexual orientations. Um, Remember, Boston was the first city in America to have legalized uh, same-sex unions. Nobody cared, Just it's like whatever, you know what I'm saying? That's what you want. So, um, And this is a Massachusetts is a state that has had a lot of Republican governors recently, by the way. Like, this is not some like left wing liberal thing. This is just a simple, I think, fundamentally, it's not a right wing thing either. It's a fundamentally American thing to want to try to work things out with uh, people of all kinds of backgrounds and come to you know a, a point that we can all agree on and a platform that we can all participate in and resolve all of our problems collectively rather than push one thing or another um, on each other. It's not what it's about. Yeah, Wes, I'm looking forward to having 1,000 subscribers someday. I don't know when that's going to happen. But maybe someday. I don't know. I might have to. I might have to become president before that ever happens. Irish people are known for a lot of things, but it's mostly not true. At least not anymore. Maybe some of these stereotypes were based in some truth at some point in the past, but I highly doubt that either. It's more like I think maybe some people were viewed as representative of something, and their qualities were exaggerated as a caricature, and that was said to be representative of all people of that category. It's like it's all stereotyping, and it's supposed to be humorous. I think. I mean, I think it's funny. Um, you'd like to meet an Irish person in person, or a what in person? I don't know what you mean by that, but anyway. Whatever happened to the hippie lifestyle people used to have? Everything is far gone from all that. Um, I don't know. I'm not a hippie, man. I've never been a hippie, so I think the hippies were kind of a minority, weren't they? Really, in terms of uh, social demographics. I mean, they were kind of a wasn't that big of a movement actually. Um, I think mostly they either died or like sold out. Hello, Eric. How are you? Um, check this out. I gotta show you something. Mm. Um, yeah. Do, 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 do. Oh, I need more coffee, guys. Hey, I'm gonna be 45 this month. Can you guys believe that? If you knew me, you'd be surprised that I actually made it this far. I think the fact that I've made it this far to age 45, I'll be 45 on the 27th of this month, is indicative of the fact that I'm probably going to be around for a very long time still. So to me, that's exciting. What do I think of the recent Jeffrey Epstein suicide? I don't pay attention to stories like that because, um, in my view, it's just distractionary and a gossip story, and I'm more focused on much bigger picture things than a single case. And I think I think someone has to be that way. I am that way, and I would rather stay focused on the bigger picture rather than scrutinize the minutiae of a single case. I mean, I'm not, I'm not dismissing the significance of uh, the importance of any one particular case, but I think there are much bigger problems in the world and in society by extension that I think uh, need to be focused on if we're actually going to solve problems rather than like get bogged down in one case or another case or whatever. And I think the biggest problem in solving our problems is the fact that a lot of the time we do get bogged down in minutiae and little single cases rather than looking at the real source of problems and trying to work backwards from there towards a solution. Uh, I don't think that's even a bigger picture thing. I think there's a much bigger picture thing at work than the Clintons or Obama or um, the Bush family or any of that stuff. I think that any problem or Trump, I think any problems pertaining to any individual or group of individuals that society experiences is just a symptom of a much bigger picture problem that really needs to be addressed, and nobody seems to be doing that, at least in terms of uh, candidates for president, except me, and that is the truth. Um, if you look back on my videos already, you will see that I have addressed some very major issues that nobody has the courage to talk about. And I mean nobody, not even the most, not even the bravest individual is willing to discuss a lot of the things that I've been talking about. And, because people are afraid. They're afraid of like retribution or backlash or whatever. And I don't fault them for that. That's understandable. You're conditioned to be afraid. I had to work through a lot of conditioning, I guess, to, although I was always kind of just like, you know, not really afraid, but more like apprehensive about talking about certain things. But I'm not afraid to talk about stuff and to address bigger picture issues. And I think that's where you're really going to find your solutions, people, is through focusing on what is the reason for these things happening rather than blaming an individual for something happening or um, thinking that like punishing one person or a group of people is going to solve the problem, because it's not. The problem is much bigger, and these are merely symptoms of a bigger picture problem that has faced humanity for thousands of years now, probably. These real problems. And you guys, I just don't see anybody out there who's offering actual solutions. And I'm not saying that there aren't people out there who don't know what the solutions are. I'm saying that nobody's got the courage to say, look, this is the solution. It's a huge problem. It's going to be really hard. to solve the problem, but I'm willing to give it a shot. And it takes someone who has uh, that kind of, let's be honest, that kind of screw missing. I mean, I don't have that fear, you know what I mean? I just don't have it. Um, it takes someone who can then also effectively use the tools that are available to them to solve these problems. And that, to me, the tools to solve these problems are governmental and military, especially military. Not to say that our military are tools, but I'm saying that the military itself is a tool, and anyone who joins the military is hopefully an understanding participant in that, and that you need someone who's not afraid to say, "Look, we need to do this, we need to do that," and who's going to give the order to go ahead and do it. Um, well, I am that person, you guys. I don't see anybody else who has the courage or the understanding of how to effectively use the military to solve problems without putting them in harm's way, by the way. You know, I don't want to see people getting killed. I don't want to see anybody getting killed, frankly. I want to see the problems solved. I don't think that the problems are solved by killing people, personally. I think the problems are solved by certain action, certain actions, and those can be easily taken. Uh, those actions can be taken with military force without hurting anybody. But in a way that solves the problem. Um, that's what I'm advocating. That's what I've been advocating to the last three presidents, including Trump. You know, Trump, Obama, Bush. Um, I've been advocating these solutions to the last three administrations, and I don't see that Trump is going to get around to totally solving our problems. Um, what I'm saying is that if he doesn't do it, I will. And if nobody else is willing to step up in 2024, I will. And that's it. You know, we've had enough of a lot of things already, and it can't continue this way. And someone has to make the change. Someone or some group of people. I think we can do it together. And if you guys are willing to put me in the office of president, I will certainly enable that. I'm talking about specifically. I'm not going to Sean Atwood or anything. I don't. The Epstein case is not something I want to focus on. I want to talk about what I've been talking about, which is the end of terrorism, the absolute and final end of terrorism by means of the abolition of organized religion, which is the ultimate, which is ultimately the source of 99.999% of the terrorism that we see on Earth today, not just in America, but throughout the world. And I think that if we can unite the nations of the world, be peace loving, peaceable, rational, free nations of the world by means of the United Nations to move towards the abolition of organized religion on a global scale. We can accomplish that in 4 years and ultimately completely change the entire planet for the good for all of humanity. So that's what I've been talking about. That's what I mentioned in previous videos. I've talked about it extensively on air. I'm not singling out any single organized religion. I'm talking about all of them. I'm talking about Catholicism, Protestantism, Islam, Judaism, the Mormons, Scientology, um, the Methodists, the Episcopalians, the you name it, the Church of Satan. Um, I think in the East you have. I mean, they're not necessarily organized religions, but I think I don't know. The Buddhists are seem to be all right, you guys. They're not really an organized religion. It's more like a philosophy, that people adhere to. So you don't see the Buddhists going around like starting wars and blowing people up. I'm not saying I agree with all that they believe in, but they're more a philosophy. Some of these things are relatively benign, you guys, things that people consider their religion. And I think that's what our founding fathers were onto when they enacted the First Amendment. They were talking about freedom of religion in the sense that personal belief, any kind of personal belief or philosophy or way of life that you've chosen or want to choose or might choose for yourself, the individual, your right to do that is to be protected. They did not mean that what happened later on with massive immigration to the United States and people bringing their organized religions and their whatnot with them, especially from European countries, by the way, that was to be protected and revered in any way, shape, or form. They were not talking about that. And I think because of that, we do have a constitutional crisis in America today that needs to be addressed. And I'm addressing it. I don't see anybody else doing that. I don't think anybody else really understands it in the way that I do because I'm not coming from a background of organized religion. Although I do consider myself a religious person, a person of conviction and personal belief, and I do adhere to a certain way of life in my personal day-to-day life. I would never seek to force that upon anybody. I only seek the protection of the law in relation to that and ask that my right to do so, to adhere to a way that I have decided for myself as an individual, be fully respected. And I don't even see that happening in America today. There have been times where, in my life, personally, I've experienced a sort of forcing of institutional organized religion upon me by elements within our own government and the lack of protection afforded to me pursue my own personal belief and way of life, um, I've experienced a lack of interest in protecting that right because of the membership in organized religion of people in our government, and thus lack of interest in protecting the rights of others who aren't part of their club. So, uh, yeah. So yeah, it has been. You're right, West. There, it has been a global infiltration, and I think particularly sensitive to that country is the United States because, fundamentally we offer freedom of religion. That's our First Amendment. So you can understand how important that was to the founding fathers. It was the First Amendment they made. Um, but I think people don't really understand what that means when they come to America. And a lot of Americans now, generations of Americans even, because of their background and their family's background, don't really understand what that means in America. They still think that, oh, freedom of religion means I can do whatever I want and it's my religion. Well, no, it doesn't mean that. So, uh, what do you mean we, Shanto? Aren't you Indian? We don't need permission from the Pope to do anything in the United States of America. So that's absurd. Um, so, yeah, you thought. I don't forget anything. You know why the party, the symbol of the Republican Party is an elephant, you guys? Because Republicans don't forget anything. Neither do elephants. Okay, so don't BS me, because I'll remember stuff. So, yeah, you are not part of we in America, Mr. Indian. With all due respect. Um, you will be, huh? Yeah, sure you will. Not with that attitude, you won't. How about I come to India and start calling myself an Indian? How would you like that? And start trying to decide your laws. Oh, wait a minute. We can't do that. Huh? No, no. Yeah, okay then. Um, yeah, that whole thing with Noah on Apex TV, Eric, I'm not buying into the whole thing of him being um, the guy who said he's Noah actually being him. I think someone's trying to mess with the story and it's trying to make a joke out of it. But my great grandfather was in India. He was in the British Army. Great great grandfather, maybe. I don't know. I think he probably shot a few Indians. I have no idea. That was different. Yeah, I'm not in favor of British colonialism, just so you know. I'm an American, but I mean, I'm sure if I went to India, I probably wouldn't be thought of by most people still as any different from British colonial types, despite being American. Um, but I'm just an English guy to them, to a lot of people. I've been around enough Indian people to know how I'm perceived by Indians. I did grow up in Massachusetts, which has a very large Indian population. Or yeah, or I'm just a tourist, right? Yeah, I must just be a tourist or an English invader, right? Don't BS me. Don't BS me. And don't try to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about, because I know what I'm talking about. Do you think I'm stupid? All right. Um, yeah, someone's trying to mess with the story of Noah, I think. I don't believe that the person who came out as saying that they were playing a character, that was Noah. Either A, it's not actually Noah, or B, it is Noah, and now he's pretending that he's not or was never a time traveler, so as to have a normal life here in this time, because he knows that he probably will never end up being able to go back to where he's at the time he's actually from. So he's just probably making stuff up. That's my theory. Um, that happened also with, what was it, Michael Phillips was a time traveler guy who came out on his own channel that Apex TV then republished, which talked about the president in 2024 being Michael Macintosh. Um, then Michael Phillips came out with another video later on saying that he wasn't actually a time traveler. I think because he was discovered by perhaps the military or somebody and was then pressured into saying that he wasn't a time traveler because a lot of people don't want time travel to be made public. um, so he was pressured into saying that he was just making it up. That's what I think. That could have happened with Noah also, perhaps. The pressure, I presume, for somebody traveling back to say that they're not a time traveler would be probably very great because, you know, especially if it's to a point in time where time travel is still highly classified, um, they're going to be told, look, you can't come out and say this right now. It could be dangerous. It could be dangerous for you. It could be, you know, problematic for society. It could be all kinds of things that they're likely picked up by military personnel and instructed not to talk about it anymore. That hasn't happened to me yet, by the way, guys. Um, nobody's telling me, nobody's told me yet that I shouldn't be talking about the things that I'm talking about, or that I'm going to get in trouble if I don't stop talking about it, or I'm going to cause problems if I don't stop talking about it. Um, nobody's come to me yet with that. And probably because they know it's not going to stop me. There's, like I said, I'm not afraid of anybody or anything, right? I mean, you could come at me with all kinds of things and say, you better do this, or this. Um, guys, that's not gonna stop me from saying what I know. It's not gonna stop me from pursuing what I'm gonna pursue, which is the presidency of the United States, in order to ultimately, at the end of my first term, declassify and make publicly available time travel technology. That's it. Nothing's going to stop me. And I know that there have been people trying to stop me, actually. I know that there have been probable time travelers who have tried to come back and sabotage my campaign thus far. So I've had all kinds of interesting, weird, strange little glitches going on here and there with people. Let's just leave it at that. I don't want to go into the details of that, but I have had little things happening here and there that have been signs to me personally that there's a clear agenda to try to stop me from, first of all, reaching the presidency, and second of all, uh, making time travel public. Uh, you know, and probably to stop me from other things as well. Like I think Noah's whole story about me being, or the president after Trump doing something really bad, was in order to try to cast aspersion on what I would like to accomplish, and what I think a lot of people would like to see accomplished. So trying to make me out to be a bad guy already, even though like hardly anybody knows who I am yet so far. I've only been in a handful of, well, okay, actually I've been in a lot of newspapers. Um, but I've only been on like a handful of media, like radio and internet things. I haven't been on TV yet. I haven't been that I'm aware of talked about on television yet, or had my videos shown on TV or anything like that. It's still very much an underground thing at this point. So yeah, I think America will lead the charge because we have the technology. Like we have more of it than probably any other country or government because we've been trusted with it by the people we got it from, which is not humans. They're not human, you guys. The people that we got this technology from are extraterrestrial. They're another species from another, from not from here, not like us. This is why the existence of extraterrestrial life is going to have to happen almost simultaneously. The disclosure of the existence of extraterrestrial life is going to happen almost simultaneously with the disclosure of time travel, and it's going to be a lot of work, you guys, to get us ready for being able to even do that, because there are so many risks in terms of security and what could happen with terrorism that need to be eliminated first before we can make these things public. Because I want you guys to think about this. Think very seriously about this, right? Imagine what could, or indeed would, happen if terrorists were to get their hands on advanced technology somehow, right? Think about that carefully and seriously about that. Imagine what would happen if, like, terrorists driven by religious fanaticism, or more than likely religious fanaticism, um, as most of them are, were to get a hold of advanced technology such as time travel or teleportation or like ET craft, spacecraft. Imagine what would happen. So we have a lot of work ahead of us, you guys, and it's not going to be easy. If I get elected in 2024, I'm not going to be able to sleep until 2028. I'm going to need a lot of coffee. And I'm going to be staying awake a lot at night. I can promise you that. I'm not going to be sleeping, you guys. I'm not going to be like getting 8 hours of sleep at night for sure. I'm going to be sleeping 2 hours a night, if that. And I'm going to be up solving problems, actually solving problems. And I'm not just going to be like telling others what to do either. I'm going to actually be there getting stuff done along with them. I consider myself a team player and I want to be part of the team, not in charge of the team. Because ultimately, that's what we are as a team. And, uh, you know, I'm not going to send anybody to a fight that I wouldn't participate in myself. You know what I mean? So if I'm going to be telling our military to go here, there, or there, I'm going to be going with them. Do you guys understand that? I hope you do. I'm not just going to be sitting in the Oval Office or something telling people what to do. I'm going to be out there actually doing stuff. When's the last time that ever happened? George Washington, was it? Did Abraham Lincoln even ever go to a battlefield? I don't think so. So, you guys, I'm willing to roll my sleeves up. I don't think Kanye West or Oprah Winfrey or any of those people are actually willing to do that, do you think? Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think they know how, frankly. All right. I gotta go get some more coffee though. I'm gonna try to get back on here in maybe like an hour or two, but I got a few things to do before then. Um, talk to you guys soon. If you guys want to come back on here in like an hour, so that would be yeah, an hour from now. Um, I will be back on. So get your friends, get your popcorn. Talk to you then. All right.